In this video, you'll learn a complete step-by-step guide on how to buy real estate below market value. It'll be fluff-free, clear, specific, point-by-point, step-by-step. I'll give you all the information you need. Step-by-step from A to Z, I'll tell you everything you need to do to buy real estate below market value. I'll explain how to deal with agents, where to look, calculations, lots of useful tips, how to communicate, and all the other info you need to get the result you want. Buying real estate below market value. Watch this video to the end because it's all fluff-free and quite concise. If you watch it in bits and pieces, you won't get the full effect. I've been in real estate for 13 years and have closed over 500 deals. And here I want to share practical information with you, not just theory, on how to actually do it. I've done this many times over many years, and I can tell you for sure that what I'm giving you here is a proven step-by-step guide on how to find the below-market property you want. Who will find this video most useful? Anyone who wants to preserve capital, grow it, and avoid unnecessary risks, while navigating the flood of information that hits everyone looking to buy something liquid and great. We'll talk about what to do if you have a small budget and how to find great options even with limited funds. There's only one downside to this video. It's quite long because I can't cram all the steps you need to take to get results into a short clip. But this video has one goal: to help you follow the steps and get the result I'm talking about, buying legitimate real estate below market value and doing it profitably. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you about an alternative that will help you earn much more in real estate than the strategy of buying below market properties. So in this video, you'll get two benefits: a working technology for buying real estate below market value, and a second technology on how to earn 3, 4, or 5 times more than by just buying below market price. Right now, you can follow the link to the Telegram channel and get access to a private investors club where we analyze great projects and also bad ones to protect you from risks. We also enter projects collectively, buying up certain volumes together, and you can be one of those people who joins us in a truly great project that I've carefully selected. This way, you get terms and opportunities you could never get on your own. You'll get the best price, the best contract terms, and plenty of useful information. Basically, joining this group could be a real game changer for your results. So follow the link. After we chat, I'll add you to the group and we'll continue working together. So, to start with, of course, let's talk about goals. Some people want to buy real estate just to invest money well and then easily sell it later. Some people want to buy to live in and maybe rent out if they suddenly don't need to live there, so that this property, if they need to rent it out, brings in a good income. Some want to profit from price growth, let's call it short-term investments. Some will want to get a good rental yield, that is, to put money in for the long term and earn well from it, while, for example, price growth might not be of interest. All these questions, there will be answers here. And to avoid repeating myself, to not make this video too long, watch this video where I talk about districts, residential complexes, and locations. So in this video, I won't talk about that because I've explained everything in that video. Be sure to watch it, the link is in the description. There you'll get answers to additional questions that won't be in this video. Question number 2, very relevant. Where to look for such real estate? Where to find properties that are below market value, and so on. Well, first, of course, there are sites like my home, SSGE. Basically, I won't list all the sites. You'll find them in the search results of any internet browser. Just type buy real estate Batumi and all the biggest sites will pop up for you. The second thing you need is Telegram channels. There are quite a few of them. Look for large Telegram channels preferably, where realtors and others communicate. In these Telegram channels, you'll have an additional volume of real estate listings. The thing is that not all real estate properties are published by agents and owners in open sources. Why? Because often owners aren't very active about selling. Agents don't really like working with those who aren't active sellers because the price might be a bit inflated. So roughly in open search results, you'll find 60–70% of properties, well, on websites, yeah. On websites, it's about 60–70% of properties. 30 or 40% of properties are tucked away somewhere. They're in realtors' spreadsheets with someone else and so on. So they're not publicly available, and you need these properties too because you can work with them and find great options. Question number 3 is how to search for real estate. How to search for real estate correctly, I'll show you right now in this short video. So how do we find the right options on the map to call them and so on? So where do we start? Of course, we zoom in on the map. On one site or another, you have a map that you can scale, right? So on this site, you just scale it, but on some sites, you need to circle an area on the map to see the options you need. After you've chosen your search area, it could be the whole city or a specific district depending on your goals. Next, you need to choose. You can set a price limit per square meter, for example, 1500 as one of the options. The second option is you can set the year. Yeah, here I've already set the house construction year from 2010. This will filter out all the old houses and significantly reduce your search time. And the third important parameter, always set it by price per square meter, cheapest first. That is, you sort the options by the price per square meter. This is the smartest way to do it, and it'll make it much easier for you to find the best price for the specific option that you're looking for. Question number 4 is as follows. How to process a large volume of information? The thing is, if you go to any classified site, any source of listings, you might notice that there are quite a lot of ads and they're all priced above the market rate. Why? Because apartments at market price are already sold. A person who lists an apartment at market price, it sells within 1 to 2 weeks maximum, right? And that's just talking about the market price. We're not even talking about prices below the market. Apartments that are below market price simply don't appear on classifieds. Why? Because when someone starts selling them, they're sold to their own circle. A huge number of realtors with cash, their acquaintances and so on. So as soon as someone says, I need to sell fast, or a low price appears, nobody even lists that apartment. Just take my word for it, it just goes, and very quickly. Therefore, finding apartments below market price on classifieds is unfortunately not possible. In the end, the most common mistake is to assume that the low price you see in ads for, say, some residential complex is actually a below market price. That's absolutely not the case. For example, you see the lowest price for some residential complex is 1500 per square meter, but its below market price could be 1300 or 1200. But you don't know about that. Then who knows about it? Only the specialists who are working in the field know about it. Actually, as for specialists, there are very few of them. Mostly it's a bunch of amateurs who are just peddling something without understanding what it is. But there are people who work seriously and deeply in the market and understand at what price you can quickly buy and sell an apartment, what the market price is, and what's below market. But you still need to search for and find such specialists. And when you find such a specialist, of course, he most likely won't share this information with you because searching for and selling you apartments below market price is very labor intensive, really very labor intensive. It's easier for him to sell you an apartment at market price or slightly higher because quite simply there are more of them. And the next important point that many buyers fall for is a low price in the advertisement. That is returning to our previous example of a price of $1,500 per square meter. You found a price of $1,200 and think it's a super profitable offer. It's not. The thing is, a super low price in an ad is usually for those properties that can't be sold for a long time. And these properties have a whole range of significantly limiting characteristics. For example, it's a bad view or some restrictions with the property or some legal restrictions. That is, there might be a price below market. It seems like the price is below market, but in fact, it's a price with a discount for the floors. So if you later want to resell such a property, of course, you'll be doing it with that same discount for those very same floors. So this isn't below market price, right? And that brings up the next question. Where do you find properties below market value? The answer is simple. Process a huge amount of data and find them within that vast sea of information. How do you do that? Well, quite simply by making calls. And I'll explain how to do that later in this video. Call and find out who's willing to accept your terms, who's ready to work with you at a below market price. We'll discuss why people might or might not be willing to do that a bit later on. What's another benefit for you in processing such a large volume of information? The benefit is actually quite significant. You'll be able to find a great specialist because you'll end up talking to many people and you'll stumble upon good professionals to work with. And the second plus is that while processing all that info, you'll start to understand what things are actually worth, right? Because when you try to get this info from various realtors, they often give you inaccurate information just to make it easier and faster to push something on you, right? Secondly, well, they aren't motivated to tell you what you need to hear, for you to get a great result. But when you make a lot of calls and build up that experience, you start to understand the true value of things yourself. That's also very important. Also, by talking to many people, you find properties that aren't publicly listed, right? So you call one, then another, then a third, asking what they have that's not online. Someone is bound to send you something, So in this way, you'll start to build up a selection of offers that aren't available to the general public. And you can work with those offers as well. The next important question is, how do you communicate with agents correctly to get the information you're looking for? The thing is, it's no secret, no secret that most offers on the market, whether in Georgia or any other country, are in the hands of agents. And in order for you to get the best options, you need to know how to build a rapport with them. The fact is, agents are just people, right? And they do a significant amount of work and they want to earn money from it. I'll let you in on a secret. But since they rarely make money from it because many people screw them over or just use their info for free and then look for other solutions, they likely won't give you the best info. To get them to provide you with the very best, most exclusive information, you have to motivate them somehow, get them interested. I suggest a few methods. First, negotiate the commission yourself, the one you'll be paying. The thing is, most people who deal with them don't want to pay them anything at all, right? And for the most part, agents treat those people accordingly. See? But you, on the other hand, can actually offer some form of payment. The better, the more generous it is, the better and more interesting the options you'll receive, right? And the savings on the property you get could be much higher than the agent's fee, like dozens of times higher. So this is also an important factor that many people absolutely don't consider. Just understand that to get a great option, well, from an agent, right? Agents have dozens, sometimes even hundreds of clients they talk to, well, you could say for nothing. He closes a deal with just one of them. And even more rarely does he offer super great options to that one person. Now, you can become that person to whom these agents will offer really super great options, all the most interesting things available. Very simple methods. First, agree with people that give them the security that they'll definitely earn with you when they find you a great option. Sign a contract, specify the characteristics of the property you want. These could be strict requirements, right? But the person must understand that they'll get a good payout. Earn well if they find you this solution. Of course, you won't pay for a mediocre solution or, one you don't need, obviously. But on the agent side, there must also be confidence that they aren't doing this work for nothing. Yes, if you want some super great result from them, a price way below market, you must understand that they also need some guarantees that they aren't doing this work for nothing. The next important question is, how do you correctly calculate the yield? Because another big mistake is when people calculate the yield in their head or don't calculate it at all. That is, they somehow look at the property, somehow intuitively think that this property will be profitable or not. Remember the key rule and always apply it. Always calculate the yield based on numbers and preferably in a professional calculator. How to do this? I'll show you now. We'll calculate one of the options as an example of calculations, an example of yield, so that you have a bit more understanding of how it's done correctly. So let's quickly do a basic calculation now so that you understand what it all looks like and what you can rely on. So let's say you take a 40-meter studio, the price is $43,000 for example, and you got it at 10% below market. We also specify this parameter. Let's assume that for 1 month you'll be improving it, doing home staging for example. The studio brings in $300 monthly in Batumi, which is generally a reasonable price. Let's put in $1,000 that you additionally invested in some improvement of it. The mortgage details are already entered. The rate is 8% and the down payment is 50%. Under this condition, your return on invested capital, if you take it for 5 years and resell it after 5 years, is 6.84%. Well, roughly speaking, 7%. If we, so to speak, remove this story about you getting it below market, let's say you got it at market price, right? We remove this P parameter, then you'd get 4.5% per annum on your invested capital. And what I want to tell you is that you absolutely must recalculate every apartment, because despite the apparent simplicity, sometimes one figure is wrong and your entire yield goes down or conversely up. Here, for example, you can see that your monthly mortgage payment is less than the rental income. This is also a right and good scenario because you can invest not the full amount in the apartment and not overcapitalize with your own money, paying off the mortgage with rental income. I have such properties in new buildings as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a resale. And there are actually dozens more solutions. I've just shown you the importance of the fact that you must calculate every option, because when you go by intuition, you then, usually get exactly that. And often people, when they don't count the numbers, they make the biggest mistakes. Question number 7 that you might have is, what if I saw an option from a developer, meaning the property isn't finished yet, at a price much lower than the developer's? Well, for example, the developer sells at $2,500 per square meter, but you found an assignment option for $1,500 per square meter. Naturally, it might seem to you that this is a super great price. Actually, no. Not always, to be more precise. Why? Because the developer has the ability to sell properties way above the market price. And most developers, I'll let you in on a secret, are doing exactly that here, right? Why? Because they have that opportunity. How do they get this opportunity? They naturally provide good advertising budgets. Yes, they pour in these advertising budgets and get those clients who aren't interested in anything at all. They don't know the market price, and they pay whatever price they're told. So even though the price is above market, a person still pays it. A certain percentage of clients still pay this price because they don't understand anything and don't want to understand. The only problem is that you don't have access to such clients because you need to pour in the same advertising budgets, have a sales department that will process a large number of leads and extract these most solvent, let's call them that, clients from the huge mass. So what does a person do who bought this property and then tries to sell it? He naturally lists this apartment somewhere in some source, realizes he's getting no calls, realizes he can't sell at the developer's price or anywhere near it, and as a next important step, he lowers the price. For example, he drops it to 1,500. Does that mean 1,500 is the market price? Of course not. A developer can sell for $1,000 or even $1,500 more than the market price. So in these cases, you need to have a good understanding of what the market price is. Of course, in this video, I can't break down the market price for all properties with all the variations and so on. So you'd better write to me or contact me or go to my group via the link again, and there will be a lot of useful and important information for you, including prices for various. Besides the prices in this group, by clicking the link, you can get not only price analytics, but you'll also get project breakdowns and plenty of other valuable and useful information that I can't and don't provide in the public domain. I share it in this private group, so follow the link, we'll chat, I'll add you there, and you'll be, well, basically in the loop about how things are and what's going on here. Question number 9 goes like this. How do you talk to a person so that they agree to your terms? And actually, this is a very important question. I'll tell you more, even most agents don't understand it. They just don't know how to talk to sellers and don't understand what these people need. They don't understand the motivation of these people. To help you understand a bit more and open up this topic, let me try to say it as briefly as possible. Every person has their own intention. Someone bought an apartment to make money on it, someone just parked their money to let it sit, someone else. People can have various goals. Someone has some family situation, someone bought an apartment for a child, then it's not needed. And in short, there can be dozens of absolutely different situations. So the secret is that it would be desirable for you to know this motivation. To do this, you need to build rapport. You need to talk to the person, as they say, a bit about life. And when you call someone, don't just ask about the price or if you can see the property, but try to find out a bit about what drives them, why they need it. Because in some situations, and there will be many such situations, you might realize that the person doesn't actually need to sell this property at all. I mean, it sounds strange, but that's how it is, yeah. A lot of people, a very large number of people, list apartments for advertising or start selling, some to check the price, some are just driven, let's say, by some illusions about the market price. Yes, he thinks he can sell it high, and when he realizes he can't sell it high, he takes it off the market, and there will be quite a few such listings. Why do people do this, and why do you see a large number of overpriced apartments in the ads? Because just as buyers don't know the market price, yeah, they try to feel it out, they look at it, and those who gather a certain amount of information already understand, yeah, what and for how much can be bought at market price and what price is below market. It's the same with sellers. Any seller who wants to sell, he looks at these same ads and sees a bunch of listings above market. Only he doesn't know that this price is above market. He thinks that this is the market price. Especially since it fuels his illusion very well that the property can be sold high. Like, I see the prices in the ads and I'll set the same price too. And they do, right? What's the issue? The point is that people's illusions usually don't shatter quickly. Usually several months pass. I mean, a person lists above market, waits a month, waits two, realizes that no one is buying from him, he has no calls, and accordingly, then he is already ready for some decisions. So, you also need to understand this if you want to buy a property below market value, right? Meaning not just people's motivation, but also how long they've been waiting and what solutions they're ready for. Are they ready to look at market figures realistically? Are they ready to discuss them with you? So if such a person is ready, if they're ripe, you can discuss and offer them solutions, including below market ones. Why? Why? Because, well, it happens that a person posted an ad, waited for 3 months, and now they need to sell urgently. Meaning 3 months ago, they didn't need to sell urgently, but now they really do. The reasons can be completely different. They might have a loan, they might have like some problems, like anything at all, right? You don't know that. And here's another big mistake people make. They don't offer everyone the option to sell on their terms. Well, for example, you see an apartment for $2,000 per square meter. You realize its real price is, say, $1,500 per square meter, but you're shy or uncomfortable offering such a discount, right? And most people here miss out on a lot of opportunities, because by offering such a discount with the right communication, someone will agree, right? But since most buyers don't offer it, consequently, they don't get any solution or answer. And here's the next important secret for you. A secret, let's call it that. Offer the solution that you want. Of course, you shouldn't offer it bluntly, because if you call someone and immediately state a price much lower than what they expected, it'll be, well, a disappointment for them, to which they might not react very positively. But if you do it right, by communicating with people correctly, then someone will agree. And those few will be enough for you to buy a great apartment at a below market price. The secret here is simple. Make a lot of calls and communicate with people correctly. If you do this, then you'll be getting various good options. And now you can understand a bit better why most agents don't give you the good solutions you need. Because essentially they need to do that work, that big job that I just told you about. They need to call a lot, they need to communicate with people correctly, they need to offer people solutions. This can sometimes be uncomfortable because people react differently, and nobody likes people's negative reactions. They kind of drain and take away your energy, so it's not an easy, quite a difficult job. If you really want to find a great option at a below market price, but a great below market option isn't always what you need. And that's what I promised to tell you about. Why? Because if you're trying to buy an apartment below market, well, for example, you'll do it for $100, $200 per square meter below the market price. In rare, like really rare cases, you might get it maybe $300 per square below the market price. Let's see what this will ultimately give you. In the end, you buy this apartment and you'll do some kind of small upgrade there. And if you divide those $100 to $200 per square meter by the period after which you sell this apartment, it'll likely be a year, right? Because, well, buying, selling, finding a buyer, maybe doing some cosmetic repairs or other things, it all depends on the case. If you calculate the annual percentage you'll end up with, it probably won't be any kind of wow, huge figures. Why? Because in any case, you'll spend time searching for an option, selling it, and, well, on all those actions I mentioned. Plus, don't forget that for you, this will be a job. Yes, if you really want to find a below market option, you'll have to spend time on it, and usually quite a lot of time. Yes, a fair amount. So if you take all these costs into account, this discount of $100 to $200 per square meter from the market price might seem maybe even significant. But if you sum up all the costs, you'll realize it's not really that much, or rather it's actually quite little. And what's the solution here for you to earn really big, to earn more than $500 per square meter? And maybe it's even $1,000 or $1,500 per square meter. It is, of course, to find those market solutions where others create this added value, this great product, this great property for you. Of course, we're talking about certain projects under construction, which ultimately, when finished, provide much greater value than was promised at the very beginning. The developer creates a conceptually strong, honest product, and the price grows well because the secondary market values this product highly. This, in my opinion, is much more interesting, even from the perspective of saving your time. Why? Because if someone finds such products for you, like me, for instance, and you get in, you can earn well there, and you don't have to spend that same amount of time, effort, and action to find a property below market, then make improvements to it, and then spend a lot more time and effort to sell it. Because believe me, no one is going to do that for you. If you really want to make money on this, in the first case, you have to spend your time, but in the second case, the developer does it for you, right? Why do they do it? Because they build a great product and you did the work to find a good developer, found a good solution, and invested your money there. There are downsides here too, yes. There are very few such developers on the market, that is, people who truly build strong products that then increase in value. There are very, very few of them. They're scarce not just in this market, they're scarce in principle in any market. So finding such properties is also a kind of work that I do for you. If you join my collective investment channel, you can find a lot of useful information there that will first of all help you understand the market. Secondly, you'll see quite a few properties that you shouldn't get into, along with the reasons why you shouldn't get into them. And you'll also see those properties that you should get into, right? And why you should get into them. This might be much more interesting for you, much more profitable, and most importantly, much less labor intensive, right? Because many don't count their time spent on, well, actually making that money when they calculate their earnings. So count your time, look for more effective strategies. I believe that the strategy of investing in projects is much more effective than this strategy where you try to find an option below market value. And in reality, well, only a very small number of people manage to do it because all that volume of work I mentioned above, as a rule, a person doesn't want to do. And if you start doing this work, you'll realize that you probably won't want to do it in its entirety either. If you don't do it in full, then, well, you'll get a corresponding result. You simply won't buy an apartment below market value, and more often even, you'll buy an apartment above market value and then sell it at a loss. That's why I don't think this strategy is the best one, because of how labor intensive it is, right? It's a rather labor intensive task and not everyone is ready to handle it. Well, actually, why you can't find specialists for this labor intensive task, I've also told you. I think you understand that too. So that's the video we've made. I hope that the information I've shared with you was useful. Of course, when you start doing this work, you'll realize there are even more subtleties and nuances because, well, these are all practical things that you need to know how to do. But I've passed on the main points, listed them, and if you really want to, you can carry them out. I'd be very happy if you'd write in the comments how you did this work, how you found properties below market value, and how much you managed to earn. It'll be a pleasure to chat with you about this topic, so leave your comments and see you soon.